Okay. So how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, making it through school. How about you?
School hasn't started for us, but
You guys are next week or the week after?
the week after it starts the 14th. We're going to have meetings with the teachers before, but yeah, they start officially the 14th. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's your girl's birthday
Nice.
today, right?
My firstborns are 16 today.
Oh, it's so exciting.
It is
Proud
exciting.
mama.
Very proud
All right,
mama.
well, today,
I want to be like them.
yeah, they seem very confident in their own skin. I love it. You've done good.
They are very confident in being themselves. Appreciate and admire. And I will do a mommy brag. It's their senior year, and they also enrolled in the Clark College. So they will get to graduate this year with it and high school this year. So it's kind of exciting.
It's very exciting. Okay, we will try this. We do understand there are a lot of kids and people, humans, on the internet. So, yeah, we weren't able to go live earlier this week. We're trying now. We're going to be talking about forbearance and the updates because we're into COVID a little bit. 6 months almost, and a little bit after that with the CARES Act. So forbearance has started. So we're going to be coming up here pretty quick on the expiration of some of those original contracts for the amount of time for the forbearance. So that is what we're discussing today with Angela Keith from Stearns Home Loans. And of course, I'm Jessica Hines with eXp Realty. And we are happy to be here today sharing the update. We haven't done an update on the forbearance in a while. So feel free to ask questions. And as you dive into it, there's so much to know. So if you have any questions, you're in forbearance, feel free to reach out to Angela because it varies depending on your loan of what your criteria is. So
yeah, it depends on how far into the forbearance, how you set it up, who your mortgage holder servicer is, as to what your forbearance. Everybody's is different.
Yeah.
Are extending some of the forbearances, so you have an option to extend as well. One of the main points is in the middle of a forbearance and you have to work and you are able to start making some call and start that as soon as, especially at the option of refinancing out of a and you want to lower payments, something to that effect. You want to make sure that you're extremely proactive with your servicer and call them. If your forbearance, say the end of September is your forbearance, I would start calling them now because they have horrendous wait times. You're going to hours on the phone, hours, not minutes, hours. So one is being as proactive as possible before it ends, because there's no, and it ends and sudden you owe 6 months all at once. Haven't established that. You want that clarified now before. It's always a good point to just check in as you go, what fees are being racked up, because everything's different. There's litigations happening right now where people were put into forbearance without express understanding and permission for forbearance. Wells Fargo is getting people right now where trying to ask about forbearance and into it without wanting to be put into it, just how it worked, and they were thrown into it. Like an ongoing investigation now, the allegation is that they were, without requesting it, Wells Fargo is saying that when they called it, there seems to be some of that. So just always, because it's your credit and it's easy for credit to go south, but it takes time to bring it back up. So there were people who thought they were when they didn't request it, and now they have mortgage lates, and trying to and fix those mortgage lates are, I had a client who, it was their ex-spouse was on the mortgage into forbearance without their request. So it ended up showing as a 30-day her credit because she was still on the mortgage, whereas it was not an actual 30-day late forbearance without permission. So
because most of the
it did affect her score.
When you're going into forbearance contract, now isn't that supposed to not report on your credit as it's supposed to report as current? If you just don't pay and you're not actually in an official forbearance, then obviously it'll go on your credit. But if you're in forbearance agreement, then that should reflect on your credit as current.
Correct.
Yeah.
Actually show up on your credit that you are in, which we're still, that's going to negatively affect your credit. And if it's going to, now it was explained that it was to affect your credit negatively if you were parents. However, lenders are looking at it. If you're currently in, there was the rule when it first came out that you have out of forbearance for 12 months, you could refinance or sell. So some of those restrictions, and depending on your mortgage, it may only be 6 months, maybe even 1 or 2 months on what are called overage company and what they consider a risk, because we still are in the pandemic and in the middle of unknown charted what's going to happen with the scene. There's too much unknown, so they tend to be a little bit more guarded on what they're going to. So each is going to have different rules on what they will accept. But if you're currently in forbearance, from my knowledge, and they're out here who are doing it, if you're currently, you are not allowed to refinance until you're out of forbearance. But some are allowing you to forbearance to do your refinance, incurring all those fees at refinance, and that's worth it for some. But if it's sometimes for in your interest rate, it's not going to be somebody else's who's not in forbearance. The whole purpose of it was to not punish people. Right. And in some ways, we're still seeing some punishment happen. So it's still we're still learning a lot as it goes. There's not as much as I would have more information, clear cut. Yeah. Each situation is different. And again, when we talk about this, it's important to take into consideration, and just because, well, hey, I want to miss a mortgage payment. They have updated that some of the, rather than do at the end of the 6 months, the companies are just tacking it on to the loan. So if you bought a house and say you were a year into the mortgage, and so you effectively have 20 years left on your mortgage, if you went into forbearance, adding 29 years in 1 month or in 6 months. So they're just extending mortgage out, and tacking is the way you kind of think about it. Yeah. So that has kind of, I've seen a tide change in how forbearances are happening, and that's better. When it was you're paying that full 6 right as soon as it's out of forbearance, or a lot of them have shifted gears on the end, which again, a lot easier on everybody long term, and is going to negate foreclosures and short sales. Good move.
Yeah. Well, and nobody expected when this started that we would still be in this. So they made those rules and those statements in the beginning, like, I mean, just like when, we were planning our, sports for fall, we were sure, we'll be good by then. We'll be good by then. And it's not the case. So yeah, you're having to make these changes. Yeah.
Yep. You're having to, and it's nice to see them it and making it more accountable and dating for more people. I think we're noticing it because in the short sales, we're not having the foreclosure. The numbers were initially, so it's been that fact is keeping more people in their homes. There were some new rules that as it's going to tax and some kind of kinks in a few, for instance, landlords, if they, there's certain rules they have to do. I won't speak into that because it's legal. It's complex. And so different rules on how they can do it. Because if they go to forbearance, they can't collect from renters, and you can't kick the renters out because they're but they've kind of been, it's gonna change a little bit in ebb and it'll be interesting to see legal changes come, because when you go into forbearance, some legal documentation that says what your plan is and how you're doing. And modifications keep happening. It's always got to be with your express to do those modifications, unless you are not in forbearance and not operating and following the rules of the loan. There's differences. There is some rules that the FHF out there where you can go to and look up your loan to see if you can and get some more information. The website has a information for people now, Freddie's. So one of the things that they talked about, if you have a private lender, it's not going to be treated the same as if it was a Freddie, FHA, VA loan. They have different kind of rulings that are going on the private mortgages. Private mortgage, you have to work with that on how your forbearance would happen and allowable. That was an intriguing one week.
Yeah. There's a lot to know. And the main point, if you are in forbearance, just, make sure you're keeping in touch. Make sure you're keeping written records of everything that's going on in your financial world. Really pay attention to that. Also, if you are in forbearance, this is a really good time to really keep an eye on your credit report, like we mentioned a little bit ago, because, make sure it is recording accurately for your mortgage, amongst other things too. A lot of other companies are offering things, and make sure it's all reflecting on your credit report correctly, because the last thing you want to do is just not watch it and it's gone to crap, and it's not through your fault. And so it's harder to take care of that stuff when they've gone on longer and longer. So
and so one of my rules is, and this sounds kind of very jaded, it just comes from watching too many people's, you're responsible and you have more if you don't have the documentation. If they have documentation, they have nothing to lose,
right?
Because it falls to prove. So even after all, keep this documentation for years. And there's going to be some fallout line, and to try to find this document later is hard. So any document now, keep it, record it, email it to yourself. You'll never lose it. You'll have some documentation. Keep the records as long as you can. You want to make sure that in 5 years, if you're going to buy a house because you want to sell this one and you were in forbearance and you didn't check your credit or everything time, but maybe at the end of your change, they will retroactively go credit and show that they were late payments if meeting the qualifications for that forbearance.
Right.
So you want to have the documentation all along. In 5 years, you don't want to try to find those documents. Get a folder, keep it. You want to protect yourself. It's not that they'll do anything malicious. It's just millions and millions calling and trying to do the same thing. So you protect yourself and documentation like crazy.
Yeah. And you want to make sure also that your property taxes and your insurance are being paid through escrow. If not, you still should be paying those. And if you are in a HOA, you still need to be paying your HOA. So those are things that go along with your home, because HOA series, if you get behind on your HOA and you go to sell, like, you're liable for all of those costs. So just make sure you're staying up on those. I mean, if you can, obviously there's people that can't, but just so you're aware that those things you're supposed to be paying in addition to your mortgage, even if your mortgage is in forbearance.
Yeah, excellent point, because if you don't have insurance in your payment, and your insurance, even if you're in forbearance, is not in your payment, your mortgage payment, and it's due, if you do insurance on your house, there will be forced insurance. It's in all the documentations that you and it will be higher than what you pay currently on your insurance. So pay attention to that. HOAs, they're not in your mortgage payment. It's in your mortgage payment. You're responsible for those forbearance, and it's easy to go, yeah, those are they're not. And again, it's a lien and you have to pay it when you go to sell it. But it starts adding up. All of those things. Make sure your property taxes, and you can go on to the county see that your property taxes are paid. So it's free to the public. You can make sure that it's paid by your mortgage company. You can go on and look it up. In the assessor's county, there is who assesses to make sure that it is what the value is and taxes are going to be for your property. Their county website, you can see that you're.
Yep. You can see amount due and when and all that. So super, super helpful. Gosh, what else? I think just keep on track. It's kind of also, I mean, it's not about homes, but I will let you know, since you mentioned, yes, if you don't have your homeowner's insurance, it goes the same thing with vehicles. If you don't pay your auto insurance, if you have a car loan, they do the same thing. So just thinking of all the bills that people are having right now that they can't pay, and just to understand what happens if you don't. But tough times. Hopefully, I know a lot of people, it's getting better for a lot of people, and then some people it's the same horrible situation from the start. So my heart goes out to those, and the second stimulus that's dragging out and out is tough, I'm sure, but we'll get there. I have confidence in our government.
But it's whack. It's I don't know about you, but it's definitely a roller coaster. What the whole pandemic, I think, having clients furloughed and then brought back, thinking they're great, and then another furlough. And it's heart-wrenching. You know, I know my clients, they just want to get back, want as normal life as possible, and we can. That's somewhat normal right now. So it's hang in there. It's hard.
We'll get through it. We're all there. And God, man, I feel lucky that I have my husband here to teach the kids. I feel for those people trying to juggle working and now school starting, and and kids aren't old enough to do work independently. And even if they are, they still need guidance, and it's why they go to a building to school normally. So I feel for you guys. I have more gratitude and for my situation, but I also understand that there's so many people out there that don't have that. We don't have a lot of stay-at-home parents these days, so it's hard.
It takes you to nowadays, and it's just in a very it's tough. I definitely feel, a couple of my friends they're trying to work from home, and they have a kindergartner who is on how can they log out read, so the poor parents having to stop there to help them, which it's a struggle for working parents. You know what, you can, and I think more just love on the kids, because if it's it's rule of, like, when you're potty training your kids, your kid never goes, you think never going to take, and they're never going to be able to be potty trained. nobody ever goes to kindergarten in a diaper, right? They if we have another year perfect, you know what? It's okay. Important is not putting that stress on them, because it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what
And
it
on the
is.
parents, I mean, you do the best you can do. It is what it is right now. You know, we're in this situation, and you just doing your best and getting through. Just survive and try and take some deep breaths and get through it. It's tough times for sure.
And I just think if we offer a little bit more kindness when we're at the store, that's always kind. That would be nice. Let's just
Yes.
a tiny bit more kindness, because, you know, parent may have been trying to do 20 Zoom in the middle of trying to also help with their kid. And if that kid's a little stressed out, frustrated, maybe a little bit at the store, have a little compassion. It's not an ideal time. Just keep on. I mean, I'd say smile, but nobody knows anymore.
Right. Well, you can see it in the eyes. Right? You can see it in the eyes and their cheeks.
Smile in my mask. I still pass. I'm smiling. I figure
I do too.
All you can do is have a little.
Yeah.
And I try now to say something instead of just smiling. Oh, that's right. They can't see my face. Let's. So if anyone has more their forbearances, again, call or have them send you something in writing. Really read every little page into it. It's dry reading, and if you enjoy reading it, I don't mind helping you go through it. I think those things are fascinating to see how together and what's going on. But a lot of them can ask when you're on the phone with them. They say, okay, I have no clue what language you're speaking. What does that mean? And saying, hey, can you dumb this down for me?
Yeah.
I do that on a consistent basis. And he'll say something. I say, can you just, could you that down a little bit for me? It's having just ask many questions when you're on the phone. You've got them on the phone, and you ask every question and write and speak back what you think you heard to the servicer, because then it really is okay. I think is this what you said, and then they can go, not at all what I said, so that you thoroughly, because this can have a lot of lasting impact.
Yeah, this is important. This is important. Yeah, absolutely.
This is like when you're at the doctor and you actually have to pay attention to it. Yes. I'm told I'm supposed to.
Oh my gosh. We got to let you go and get back to your daughter's 16th birthday, your twins, your firstborns. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all for watching. And again, reach out if you have any questions, need any further help. Home loans with Angela, and obviously real estate with me. And let us know if there's anything we can do to help. We are here for you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everyone. Bye, Angela.